If you were looking for Drexel back in 1891, you would only have to look in one place. What's now the main building housed the entire Drexel Institute of Art, Science, and Industry.
It embodies the vision of A.J. Drexel, and I think probably Mr. Drexel died before he saw the building completed. But if you might notice, it has a very monumental portal that has medallions of Raphael and Bach and other representatives of the liberal arts. That was fundamental to his conception of the Drexel education.
When you think back to 1891, there were very few buildings in this manner in the United States at all. This building predates by 2 years the Great Columbian Exposition in Chicago that made all of the United States classical for 30 years. So in many ways it was a forward-looking building.
The futuristic look was designed by a local group of engineers and architects known as the Wilson Brothers.
The Wilson Brothers started work for Mr. Drexel to design his bank building, which was next to Independence Hall. They worked on his house and the houses of his children. Mr. Drexel invited them to design the main building.
Their primary expertise was in building train stations. And I think you can see it in the structure of the building itself. You enter from Chestnut Street through that main monumental portal, and you enter a big, large open space. That's where the railroad offices would be. And then you go down the steps. That's like where you would go down to the tracks and so forth. So the building is remarkably like a train station.
When the building was dedicated in December of 1891, 2,000 people showed up, including the rich and famous.
The Vice President of the United States came to the dedication, but so did Thomas Edison and J.P. Morgan, who was a junior partner of Mr. Drexel.
In the last 120 years, Drexel has changed a lot, and the main building has changed too.
I believe there was a swimming pool down in the basement someplace. On the fourth floor, which is still accessible as a space and architecture uses it for classrooms now, was originally the gymnasium. Another thing that is missing, in old photographs of the court, you can see under practically every arch a plaster statue. The only one surviving is the Nike of Samothrace that's on the south side, on the second floor. But originally there were dozens of them, and those were deliberately acquired very early as part of the concept of how you taught art students.
In the Great Court, there is still evidence of A.J. Drexel's original vision and enormous wealth.
One of the most interesting features of the Great Court is the pair of bronze candelabras at the foot of the staircase. I would say they are, little boys themselves are about 4 feet tall, and they have enormous candelabras above them. Those were originally the decorations of A.J. Drexel's dining room. Toward the end on either side, symmetrically placed. And they just give an idea of how fabulous A.J. Drexel's house was.
The Bartholdi Waterboy sculpture, which remains in the Great Court, was designed by the same sculptor who created the Statue of Liberty.
Drexel students for generations have touched its toe before exams for good luck. And so I recommend to all Drexel students to do the same. Why not?
Today, the main building is a must-see on Drexel's campus. It was put on the Philadelphia Register of Historic Places in 1972 and has a grand history. For DNEWS, I'm Breanne O'Neill.